Hello. Welcome. So today I just wanted to kind of go over a little bit of the. I've been working on this program for quite a while, and kind of as I'm launching it here, I thought I would go ahead and do a series of webinars covering some topics that people have requested. And I'm going to keep these fairly short so that we can just kind of keep going on our days, and then I'll share them out to everybody online. But today we're talking about self esteem and going from inner conflict to quiet confidence. Now, it's kind of interesting if you look at my life. I started off as in elementary school. The first couple of years, I was a really, I was myself, I guess is the best way to say it. I was in the principal's office quite a bit, I found out. My parents said that they would send me there often. The teachers didn't know how to control me, and I just kind of did what I wanted to. I was kind of unabashedly myself. In third grade, we moved, and the teacher that took over decided that he was going to kind of get me in line. And I remember certain parts of this where he was very, very well intended. It was back in let's see, what year would that have been? I think it was the late 70s when we first moved over there. And I mean, he wanted me to, he wasn't a bad guy. He was really trying to do something, help me out. But the problem is it started on this path of just conforming and not being myself. I remember a couple of times where I would get called out in front of the class. I had an eraser thrown at me several times when I was daydreaming in class. And I just kind of learned over time that the best way to not be a problem was not to stand out, not be yourself, and just kind of shut up and blend into the background. And that went through most of my school career. I became pretty shy, pretty not confident in myself and in who I was. So I hid myself from the world, honestly. I uh, just found out it's better to be quiet, shut up, and not pay attention. I did okay in school, not great. Had a lot of fights with my parents throughout the years, but overall, I got done and got through it. And then I went to college and I got through college somehow. Even though I picked this stupid major for myself, I somehow made it through. And that's the thing is, my background, if you look at it, I started off in software development just because I didn't know what I wanted to do in life. I had all been beaten out of me. And so I picked something and just went with it and got into the career, found out I really didn't like it a whole lot and never excelled. I was fine. I did a okay job and had a long career. I kind of got stuck in for various reasons, my wife's health being primary amongst those. But then I started learning a lot about self-development and got trained on several different things, uh, how to change belief, how to do visualizations, stuff like that. I started to improve my life, and then I got into martial arts and learned a lot more there, and progressed all the way up to the point where I was going to jump off and do my own business, which failed miserably for many reasons. Part of it being the self-esteem, and part of it being what we'll talk about today, that it just wasn't going to work out very well. And I had to rebuild my life from there, which led me all the way up to where I am today. And over that time, I started finding things out about myself. I went through various different points of trying to really find myself, and I've in the last few years started really nailing into that and what I am, what I stand for. Part of that is I love to teach people. I love showing them what I have learned and sharing that with others. I really like people, like helping them out. So let's go ahead and get started on this. Um, I can figure out my controls and how to actually advance my my presentation here. Let's see. There we go. So the thing is, when you are talking about self-esteem, your body language is really going to show a lot about where you are. And I'm not talking, when I'm talking self-esteem, I'm not talking about what a lot of people will think as being able to get up and be boisterous or whatever. It's really about kind of being yourself and being confident in who you are. If you look at a martial artist, the stance that they have is really, really important. When we would fight, they would teach us that you had to stand certain ways. You had strength in them, you could move through them, and they made it so you were adaptable, but you had a good base and were strong on that. So a good confident stance would really provide you with something. And you can watch people and kind of see where they are in their body language. There is that confident body language. You'll see people that will use that, especially up in groups where they might stand and they'll have a big stature in themselves. They will own the area that they're in. Their movements will be deliberate and confident in how and what they're doing. Watch an athlete when they step up to the line. If it's Olympics and they're going up to race, they get into a position. They're getting in and getting set in a certain position. In martial arts, I mentioned that they have that stance that they get into when they fight. And it's very, very similar when you're in front of people or when you are who you are, that there is a little bit of a confidence, there's a little bit of a stability in how you hold yourself. If you see people that are not so sure of themselves, they're going to tend to be a little bit weaker. Their body will be a little bit more unsure, crumpled, maybe a little bit stance. Watch people when they speak, and you'll see that if they're really confident in what they're doing and when they're confident, they'll hold their ground better than if they're nervous. You'll see them step back and rock a lot more, and they'll shift around and their body will be just a lot more shifty. And you'll notice this that it just it has nothing to do with how much of an expert they are or whatever. It's how firm they are in what they believe. And you'll see people even that are nervous when they speak, but when they get into their topic and what they're an expert at, they'll start speaking, and all of a sudden their body will calm down and they will get very, very oh sure of themselves and it'll reflect in their body language. I had this one time where when I was working on seminars before, I was working with another company and doing seminars, and I was running the back of the house. And we had had a couple of glitches that happened while the presenter was up talking, the guy that was running the whole show. And we had one of them that was a problem. We got it kind of taken care of, and as I stepped from the back to go I was gonna go up and inform the guy who was speaking what was happening in the background. He all of a sudden just calls me by name, and I just stop. The entire audience turns and looks at me, and he chews me out and tells me just starts berating me. Boom, boom, boom. We're trying to do something important here. This is very, very uh, important for the people that are here. And what you are doing is disrupting that. I need you to step up and I need you to take control and not, you know, not goof up. And I just stood there solid. I knew I was able to do this one because I'd had the martial arts training before. So I knew how to just stand there. But also, I knew that what was going on, and it wasn't what he was accusing us of. And so I just stood there and took it. Mhm, mhm. He's the boss. He's in charge. Yes, yes, yes. When it was over, boom, he went back to what he was doing. And he came up to me afterwards and he actually apologized and told me, he used that as an opportunity to, um, he said the group was being a little, um, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? They were kind of spacey and not taking things serious. They weren't paying attention, and so he used that as an opportunity to kind of berate the audience by berating me directly. And he was completely apologized for it. He said it worked and thanked me for what I was doing. He said, "I know you could take that, so I didn't feel bad like dropping that all on you at the time." But what was interesting is afterwards, hearing the students in that class come up to me afterwards, and they're like, "I've never seen anything like that. Holy cow! How could you have that mental toughness to just stand there in your power and just take all of that? You didn't flinch. You were just so confident in everything, and you took everything he threw at you and just took it in without being knocked down, and that impressed them as much too. Kind of interesting that that would happen. And I'm going to tell you that we're going to go on to a little bit more, some more stuff after this, but I want to give you a tip on how to have that type of a that mentality anytime you want to. It's called the circle of excellence, and I've taught this so many times to people. And what I want you to do is make sure that you're in a place where you can think for a second and clear your head, because this is going to take you going through and doing an exercise. You can listen to it now, or you can actually walk through it as I walk you through it. What I want you to do is think of a time when you were extremely confident in yourself. Okay, and when you do that, I want you to think for a moment and relive and replay that in your mind. Just go through that whole experience. What did it feel like? Let it kind of soak into your body and go, feel your body swell up and notice how your entire physiology changes as you are in that confident that confident phase. And sit there for a minute and really feel that. Now what I want you to do is, okay, step back and kind of shake out a little bit. What I want you to do is imagine, this works best if you're standing up. So stand up and then imagine in front of you there is a circle, and it's a glowing circle. It can be whatever you want. A lot of times yellow is what comes to mind when I think of this, but just this glowing circle in front of you. And what I want you to do is I want you to step into that circle, but as you step in, I want you to relive that confident experience. Just take a moment as you step in and let that confidence just soak into you. Notice what it feels like. Notice your stance changing. Notice how your entire body just feels that confidence. Soak that in for just a minute. Step out, let that go, and shake for a second. Okay, good. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to step back into the circle, and as you step in, just let it come back. So step back into that circle and let the confidence fill you. And remember what it felt like, how things looked as you looked around, how things sound, the sensations in your body. Okay, step back out, shake for a second, shake that feeling off. And then one more time, I want you to step into that circle. Step in and let that just come back into your body. Let's feel that for just a moment. Okay, step back out. Now, what I want you to do is this time, I want you to step into that circle. And then you'll notice as you step in that instantaneously that feeling just comes into you. Now, we're not going to go through it right here enough, but I want you to keep practicing that over and over, like good 4 or 5 times, where you step out, shake, and then step back in and let that feeling come back into you, that feeling of confidence. Now, if you want it to be even more, you can imagine in front of you there is like an old volume control on a radio, and if you turn it one way, that feeling intensifies, and if you turn it the other way, it decreases. Now, I want you to, as you step in, increase turn that knob mentally to where it feels good. Let that soak in, and then step back out. Now, what'll happen is anytime you want that feeling, you can step into that feeling of confidence. Just imagine you can either step forward and imagine it there, or you can just imagine stepping into it in your mind that you're boom going. I'm sitting down right now and I'm doing it while I'm talking about this. So it doesn't have to physically move. The physical helps you learn it, but you can do it whenever. I remember using this first time I ever sang a solo in church. I had never done that. And I stepped in and did that. And whew, man, that was sang the solo, got done. Got lots of compliments on it. It was actually pretty good. I remember one of the 14-year-olds I knew at the time and was teaching. He came up to me and said, "That didn't suck half as much as I thought it was going to," which I took as high praise. So there you go. You can use that whenever you want to. And think about it. This is what, like, if you've ever watched a basketball player when he goes up to shoot free throws, this is the mental preparation that he's doing. When the athletes, the runners, get up to the track, that's what they're doing. Is they're really anchoring themselves into a mindset, and that's exactly what this is. You're putting that mindset into what's called an anchor, and you can just access it whenever you need to. Okay. The next thing is rapport. So, rapport is that relationship that you have when you're working with others. Think about it at times when you've been talking with somebody and things have just gone so well. You feel at ease with this person and you're able to talk, and the relationship is just going really, really well versus a time when you're talking with somebody and it's awkward and you just feel out of sync with them. And yeah, that's what rapport is. And I teach a lot about how to get into rapport with others. But what we're talking about today is internal rapport because you have that inside yourself. When we're confident is the times that you are in rapport with yourself internally. Now, what does that mean? So, without going into too much depth, I teach about in all these different internal parts of ourselves and how you can communicate internally with yourself and find conflicts and resolve them there. But I just want to talk about the simple thing of believing who you are versus who you think you are. Because there's a truth about ourselves and then there's what we believe about ourselves. And if you believe that you're a failure, you're no good, and you're trying to stand up and be confident, there is an internal conflict that's happening there. And until that gets resolved, you're going to show that lack of confidence. You're going to feel that lack of confidence. So you need to find that way to come into greater rapport with those internal voices, with those internal parts of yourself, the beliefs that you have, because our beliefs will really throw us off. As I mentioned, if you believe in yourself and you believe in what you're talking about, you'll see those people, as I mentioned earlier, they'll get up and speak and they're not confident. They don't believe that they are public speakers. They don't believe that they have confidence in front of people, and it'll show as they're up there. But as they get talking about what they are expert in, and that they're able to move into a greater rapport with themselves because they stop thinking about what they're doing. They stop thinking about it presenting to people, and they just get into this is what I love and this is what I know. All of a sudden, they become in greater rapport, they become greater balanced inside themselves, and they are able to display that confidence to everybody around them. So, how do you do that? Well, one of the first ways that I teach is identity. Know who you are. The better you can know who you are, the better you are going to be able to have that internal rapport with yourself. It's took me forever to find this. I went through so many iterations. I remember even back when I started on the self-help journey, I didn't know who I was. I didn't have a style. Uh, I've gone through like weight loss, being heavy and thin so many times in my life. And I remember that I got to a point where I had lost a bunch of weight. I had started getting back into trying to rebuild who I was. And I was like, what do I wear now? Who am I style wise? What do I act like? And so I started wearing a lot of black. I just wore a lot of black clothing because I didn't know what else to do. And it was bad enough that one day I'm walking by this girl's office at work and she calls me and she goes, "Hey, I just realized something about you. You're a black man." I sat there stunned. I was rarely at a loss for words, but I could not think of a comeback. I was like, this makes zero sense whatsoever. And she says, "You wear a lot of black clothing." And I went, "Oh, okay. I get what you're saying." Not a good way to say it, throwing me off, but it was funny because shortly after that, I started learning a little bit more about, different personalities, different energies, and stuff like that. And started to get into the one that I was. I started throwing some color into my wardrobe and started playing around that way, and it got better. It definitely got better, but then I'd say in the last few years, I've started to really, really enjoy the clothing. I started finding that I like these expressive shirts. I like to kind of have a bright joy. I'm one that I love to teach people. I love to inspire people. I love to help people. And just wearing stuff like this, it makes me happy. And then it's so much fun because I bump into people on the street and they're like, "Love that. That just brought a smile." Somebody told me my shirt made their day. And I just love that. And it just helps. The more I've come to know myself, the more in touch with myself I am, more confident I am. And then purpose, knowing what it is you do and why you do it. My purpose comes down to my purpose comes down to really being it's teaching people, improving people, helping people, as I said. It goes into every aspect of what I do business wise, even the new thing that I'm picking up now, it goes in line with that. Find out who you are and what you are here to do. And as you do those things, the confidence comes up. When I'm teaching people, bam, I have purpose. I am confident. I meet somebody, and then within a few minutes, all of a sudden, I'm asking them questions about where they're going in life. Boom, it's right there, and I'm helping them out. Love it. My confidence just goes through the roof at those times, and I know that it comes out. I can see it in the people. I can feel it in the people that I'm working with at the time. I love it. So find out who you are and what it is that you are supposed to be doing. And I have some resources, a lot of free stuff and all that. Because I want to talk a little bit about that's how I got here. I did develop. Mentioned I do coaching. I do a lot of different things. This is one of the paths that I offer. I have all of this knowledge that I've gained throughout my years, and I feel compelled and driven to teach people on this and to impart the knowledge that I have. So I do that in several different ways. One of them is going to be these free webinars, some free trainings. I'm looking at getting a YouTube channel up so that there's a lot of free utilities for people. But for those that really want to dig in a little bit more, as I say, I have kind of a unique way that I work with people. The program I developed is called The Way. It's based on two things. One, the martial arts training that I had. There's a lot of philosophy and a lot of stuff that comes from the martial arts. The way you think, the philosophies and all that are heavily driven from there. In fact, as I mentioned, the personalities in that there's certain energy ways that energy flows naturally, and starting to learn which ones that you associate with, and that's all part of this. Where I teach, learn what your strengths are. Look at nature and how nature moves, and what part of that fits with you, and how can you emulate that in your life. Uh, so there's that whole part of it. But then the other thing is I have a lot of tools that I've learned. I was trained in neurolinguistic programming, which is kind of derived from watching people do hypnosis, hypnotherapy on people, and they started finding these tips and tricks and certain mental tools that would help you redefine the way you look at the world, and that had a huge effect on me. So I have the martial arts philosophy with all of these other tools I've learned for self-help. A lot of them coming from neuro linguistic programming or NLP, and other coaching things that I've learned throughout the years. And so I took all of that and I kind of move it together and teach in the way it's intended to really get you to be very, very in line with yourself. You figure out who you are and why you are here. And then a lot of that is going to be internal diving. So there's a meditative aspect to this. Don't worry, it doesn't get too wild on the meditation. I try to keep it as simple as I can. But using that meditation to go in and connect with yourself and using that meditation to reach out and connect with others, I teach people how to build great rapport and to build these deep relationships, not just with others, but with themselves, so that as you go out and lead and influence other people, you first of all learn to do that with yourself. And then you can go out and have these relationships and guide other people and help influence other people because you've mastered it upon yourself. Uh, I've taught a lot about rapport. I've learned how to talk with literally tens of thousands of people. So I teach you how to relate that way. I teach how to, if you're presenting and stepping up, you can read a room fairly quickly, feel what's going on in there, and be able to connect with the room. I teach you, boy, confidence. You come out with confidence, you come out with connection to others, connection to the world. That's really what it is. And once you have all that stuff, we also will pick some things that you want to accomplish in life that help drive you forward. And it's all about getting there and becoming the person who can have those things and do the things that need to have the success that you would like in life. And that's really what the way is about. I'm going to teach you the way I've learned. I mean, the way is it's like the in martial arts. You have the way of the hand and the fist, which is Taekwondo. You have the way of the warrior, which is the whole mental side of what warriors are and the way they think. The way is my way, really. This is what I've learned and what helps me. What I'm going to do is teach you a bunch of stuff and help you find your own way because my way is not going to be perfectly matched to everybody out there. You've got things that'll work for you and won't work for you. And we're going to find what works best for you so that you can have a lasting change in your life. And I do individual coaching, and I have a group coaching class that I'm launching right now. I'm looking for people into that. If you are interested in finding out more, please contact me. You can email me at the Sensei KP, TheSenseikp at gmail.com. Or you can also just find me on socials. I am Sensei KP, and you can message me there, and we can set up a time to do a little one-to-one. I can go into greater details and let you know what it is and find out if you'd like to. Group coaching, the benefit of that is there's a lower cost point, and you have the collaboration of other people around you. Where individual coaching, it's a higher price point, but you get a lot more specific individual concentration on you and what you're doing. I want to tell you, I mentioned I love people. When I get with people, I can kind of see who they are and really what it is that they're kind of here to do. I have a gift on that where I can start seeing that future version of you. And that's what I want for you guys is to help you to find and see that exact same future vision. So please go ahead and contact me. We will have another one of these next week. They're going to be building upon each other because the next class is going to go into a lot more of the belief stuff and how to balance the conflicting beliefs in you and overcome them. We're going to give a tool, simple tools on how to find and kind of erase those and replace those. So look forward to that and look forward to talking to you. Goodbye.